Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 unpopular luxury opinions. So these are my opinions that kind of go against the general consensus or the general recommendations in the luxury community. So take this video with a grain of salt. It's just my opinion, and if you have different opinions, I'd love to hear from you. So share them in the comments below. Let's have a little bit of discussion. We don't all have to love the same things. My first unpopular opinion is that I completely prefer smooth leather over textured or pebbled leathers in the same bag style. So I find that most people really prefer a pebbled or textured leather in their bags because they're meant to be more durable, they're scratch resistant, they don't show a lot of wear and tear. But I, for one, find smooth leathers a lot more luxurious, and smooth leathers don't tend to really cost more or anything. So in my opinion, if we're going for something really luxurious that we're paying big money for, then I really would always go for a smooth leather over pebbled leather. Unless it is going to be my everyday bag that I throw around everywhere, then I'll go for something like coated canvas. But in general, if I'm going for a bag that makes me really happy, that is going to complete my outfit, then I will always generally prefer smooth leathers. I also believe that smooth leathers such as the Chanel lambskin or the Hermes Swift leather, this is actually the Jonathan leather, but Jonathan leather is not very well known. It is a new leather from Hermes, only a few years old. So I think a lot of people are a lot more familiar with Swift leather, but this one is basically very similar to Swift leather. Anyway, I have owned quite a few smooth leather bags, and I might have been very lucky with my experiences, but I find that smooth leathers are actually quite durable if you go for the right quality bags. So you guys have heard this many times if you are not new to my channel, but in case some of you are new to my channel, I've had this Chanel square mini flap in the lambskin for over 5 years, and I've used it so much. I've taken it on so many of my overseas holidays, and it has held up beautifully. And also, I've had my smooth leather Birkin bag in the Jonathan leather for about 3 years, and I did use it quite a bit. And I find these well-made, high-quality smooth leather bags quite durable. So contrary to popular belief that smooth leathers are so prone to scratches and they will show wear and tear really quickly, I haven't found that to be the case at all. Another thing to note about smooth leathers is that if you do get a bit of wear and tear on smooth leather versus a pebbled leather, generally, it is much easier to buff out the scratches from a smooth leather or repair a smooth leather bag versus if you get wear and tear on a pebbled leather bag, it's very hard to condition and very hard to buff it out. So even if you get some scratches on the leather, you can use a microfiber cloth or even your fingers to just rub out the marks, and they generally come out quite easily. So I absolutely love my smooth leather bags, and if I had the choice in the same bag, I would always tend to go for the smooth leathers. My unpopular opinion number 2 is that I don't always recommend versatile bags or versatile items. I know versatility is a big thing when it comes to luxury purchases because I also believe in the cost per wear. So if we're purchasing something for a pretty high price tag, we want to get the cost per wear down and use it for as many occasions and for as many functions as possible. But I do find some of these versatile pieces to be no good for anything. I do like my items have a little bit of versatility, but when it tries to do too many things, I find that they're not necessarily good for anything. So I prefer to have a few items that are really good at exactly what its purpose is. So for example, I prefer to have an evening bag that is for the evening purpose, and then I would like to have a day bag that serves me during the day perfectly. And some of you might be thinking, if you can have multiple bags, of course you can do that. But if you're going for that one bag, don't you need a versatile piece? And I'd say I agree and disagree. If I was starting my collection from scratch again, or if I was giving advice to someone who is just about to start their collection, I used to give the advice that go for a versatile piece as your first piece. But over the years, my opinion has actually changed, and my new advice is figure out what kind of an item or what kind of a bag that you would really love in a luxury item. So for example, if your lifestyle requires you to go out on the evenings quite a lot, then focus in on getting a really nice, luxurious, good evening bag rather than something that kind of can function as an evening bag and then kind of functions as a day bag. Rather than doing that, get a bag that is perfect as an evening bag that makes your evening outfit just amazing. And then just use a high street bag for your day-to-day. And from there, if you're intending on building a little bit of a collection, then you can go for the next item on your list. For example, you might then want to buy a larger day bag. Then even a collection of 2 bags can serve you really well and make you feel really amazing and serve your life's occasions really well. Versus if you just had one bag that is not really a perfect evening bag and it's not really a perfect day bag, then in my opinion, that item doesn't really suit any purpose really well. And I have one example. I used to own the Chanel Jumbo Classic Flap, and I've had it for a good 5 years before I decided to let it go, and I really loved that bag, and it was my very first Chanel bag. At the beginning, I used it for all sorts of occasions, but over time, I realized that I never really gravitate towards using that bag because it was a little too big to use it as an evening bag, but then it was a little too dressy to use it as a day bag, and the capacity wasn't that great to use it as a day bag. So that bag, at the time that I purchased it, it was 7,000 Australian dollars, which seems pretty reasonable compared to today's prices, but it was still a lot of money. Guess what? Instead of spending the $7,000 on that bag, what would have actually been the smarter thing to do would be, for my own lifestyle that is, I could have bought a mini flap like this one here, which I bought 2 years after I bought the Jumbo. This one, at the time that I bought the Jumbo, was around 3,500 Australian dollars. So I would have purchased one of these, and then with the remaining 3,500 Australian dollars or so, I could have gotten myself a really nice day bag as well. So you see where I'm going with this. And another example is a multi-purpose small leather good. One example that I can really think of is the Louis Vuitton Recto Verso. Now, don't come for me because I know a lot of people love that particular item because it does it all. It is a card holder, it is a coin purse, and I think it also has a little key holder as well. But in my opinion, I don't love something that tries to do too many things. First of all, that item just looks really odd in my opinion. I don't think it looks very appealing aesthetically. And often when we go for a card holder, we go for it because we want something really compact, but having all of those extra compartments doesn't really keep the item compact. And if we were to actually use the Recto Verso as a card holder as well as a key pouch, I don't actually think that the key will fit very nicely with all the card slots full. I mean, if you own this item, let me know what you think and let me know your experience. I can only tell you from someone who only checked it out in store and never bought it, and I also thought at the time it was a little too pricey for what it is. Anyway, so they are my 2 examples, and moving on to my unpopular opinion number 3, it is that I don't believe a black bag is the safest choice. A very common advice is go for a black bag. You can never go with a black bag. It's classic, it's dark, it's timeless, it wears well, it's versatile, it goes with everything. In my opinion, there is a perfect neutral color for every single person's style. So I actually don't find black very versatile in my wardrobe. You guys know that I do love wearing a lot of floral things like this Zimmermann top that I'm wearing. I do wear a lot of these kinds of things, and I do wear a lot of lighter neutrals like the almond color, the beigey colors. So in my wardrobe, there are only certain outfits that will warrant me wearing a black bag. And of course I still love my black bags, but I can tell you that my black bags aren't my most used bags. So in my own wardrobe, as an example, I find tan browns work really well with the outfits that I have in my closet. And even something like this, like a bright purpley pink, works well with, surprisingly, so many outfits in my wardrobe. And I think that is because of maybe, you know, the city that I live in. I do live in the sunny Sydney, and we have pretty mild winters and we have pretty sunny days most times, and we have a beach culture. So that could be why, but this is my point that I'm trying to make, is that don't blindly just go for a black bag thinking that it is going to be the safest option out there. I'd always say analyze your wardrobe and then go for the color that will work with the majority of your own coloring. This video is not meant to be like an advice on getting your perfect luxury items, so I don't mean to be preachy, but I just realized I'm starting to sound a little bit preachy, so never mind me. Let's move on to the next opinion of mine that is not very popular. And it is that I think that costume jewelry is 100% worth the money. So in the luxury community, we do often compare costume jewelry, which are fashion jewelry made out of non-precious materials like non-gold, faux pearls, all of those types of materials. And there are fine jewelry, which these fine jewelry items are made out of precious metals like gold, platinum, with real gems such as real pearls or, precious stones. You get the gist. If I show you examples, I do have my Cartier Love bracelet, Justin Clue bracelet, both in the small size, and my love ring as well. These are all in solid rose gold, 18 karat rose gold. So these will be classified as fine jewelry. And then I also have in my collection some costume jewelry. So I've got these Dior earrings. So these are the initials tribal earrings, where these are costume jewelry because these metals are just gold toned, but they're not gold. And the pearls are faux pearls, so they're not real pearls, but they're just probably acrylic or some sort of synthetic material. So these will be classified as costume jewelry. So often the general popular opinion is that people say costume jewelry is not worth the money, just put that money towards something that is more precious. So these Dior tribal pearl earrings cost me around 700 Australian dollars. So the popular opinion is save those $700, put a little more money on top of it and buy yourself real pearl earrings. But I find that there is a certain look to these costume jewelry that you can't really get in the fine jewelry. These jewelry items are meant to be for a little bit of fun. And can you imagine how much these pieces will cost if they were made of real gold and real pearl of this size? And another example that I have is my Chanel dangly earrings, which I only have one of these pairs in my collection. So you can see the big CCs. I mean, they are just really fun. So again, these pearls are not real pearls, but these cost me around 950 Australian dollars. So yes, very expensive for some non-precious metals and fake gems. But I find these pieces really worth it in the style sense that you can't really get anything like this in a fine jewelry. And if you pick the right sort of pieces, they also hold their resale value very well. These Chanel earrings are one example of that. I see many pairs of dangly Chanel earrings resell for more than what they would have cost retail because some styles are harder to come by and they're only produced in certain quantities from Chanel. So personally, I totally see the value in purchasing these costume jewelry pieces. My next unpopular luxury opinion is that there is no such thing as a forever bag in my collection. Now, I do have a few holy grail bags that I love to bits and that I would probably end up keeping for the rest of my life, or at least that's what I expect, unless my life circumstances change drastically or unless I completely fall out of love with these pieces. From my experience of owning luxury bags in the last, say, decade or so, we evolve as our lifestyle changes, as we hit different life's milestones, that it is often very hard to call something your forever bag. So I once thought that my Chanel Jumbo Classic Flap would have been my forever bag, but it stayed with me for a short 5 years, and then I basically fell out of love with it, or I found it not very functional for the different occasions in my life. And in my current collection, this Hermes Mini Kelly bag seems to be, for the time being, a forever bag because I've been really enjoying using it and I seem to grab it quite often for so many different purposes. And for as long as I can predict, I am probably gonna love this bag, but I can't guarantee that if my lifestyle changes or if my dressing style changes, that this bag is always going to be suitable for my lifestyle and my style. And even though I really enjoy my luxury bags, these are just bags and these are just things. We're allowed to change our opinions on them. We don't have to take them too seriously. If there are bags in your collection right now that you just really love, that you can't see parting ways with, but then one day, if you don't use that bag that much, then that's okay to change your mind on it, even though you can't see that happening right this minute. And maybe this is not an unpopular opinion. Maybe a lot of you guys agree with me. So anyways, let me know what you guys think about my opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. As always, thank you so much for watching and spending some of your precious time with me today, and I can't wait to see you again soon in my next video. Bye guys!